guys, TinaGale here, and I'm back for another video in July. Since it's Friday, I thought it'd be a great time to do the Freaky Fast Friday challenge for the scrap room. So I pulled out my double shot kit, and it has Simple Stories Domestic Bliss in it. And so I have some of the ephemera, a package of stickers, and then these three patterned papers. On the back side, some great neutrals, and then a sheet of graphite, and then some white cardstock. I think I'm going to work on the graphite cardstock. And the challenge, I'll put the dimensions here, the Freaky Fast Friday, if you're not familiar with that. Gives you a cutting guide. You can cut your pattern paper to these sizes, and that's all of the paper that you can use other than a 12 by 12 background paper. So you can't add any other patterned paper. You have to do everything else with embellishments. So I love this challenge. It's always a lot of fun, and I usually do one really quick, so I'm hoping that's the case today. But I pulled this kit out to work with, and then I went looking for some photos, and this is all about domestic bliss. So the embellishments, what did I do with them? Well, I already pulled out some that I thought went with my photo. And then I still have some left over, but I really don't think those are going to work for what I'm going to scrapbook today, so I've just left those in the bag. So we will see where that goes. I went looking for photos, and I had these. So they're black and white, have that little thing to deal with. I think I'll probably kind of just stick the photo together or something. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. So that's what I'm working with. That's one reason why I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the dark background instead of the white, so that I can really have some high contrast. If I went with the white, everything would be kind of subdued, even though there's a lot of different colors in this collection, a lot of patterns. I think it would still be a little bit too subdued for the black and white photo, so I really want a high contrast. So that's why I'm choosing that. I think that's it. So I'm ready to start cutting up and see where this takes me. So the first thing that I do when I start looking at the sizes of the paper, I usually always look for the biggest piece. So on this month's, I believe it's the 10.5 by 6 is the largest piece, and then we have a 10.5 by 3.5. So that means they're the same width. They could go together. So that would be a 9.5 by 10.5 once it was all put together, so you could just butt them up together and make a bigger background. So I'm going to keep that in mind when I'm choosing those papers. Then I usually look for long, narrow strips, and on this one there's a 12 by 1.5. So on those I normally look for a stripe, and I loved that this collection had this stripe, and it also has the little cross hatching in it, so that's perfect because they're doing some hand sewing here and machine sewing. I think they were making a quilt that day, I don't know. So that's going to be perfect for the theme of these photos. So this is definitely going to be my 12 by 1.5. Then I have the circle, and I have a 2 by 3, which normally the first thing I think about is it's a great little journaling spot, especially since I'm working on dark paper. So I might do the tone-on-tone neutral like this for the 2 by 3 because I could write my journaling and be able to see it. So that's one of my thoughts. This one has the wood grain, so this would also be good. I could write journaling on it. Then I have a 6.5 by 4.5, and when I see that dimension I always think photos because of 4 by 6 photos. Now of course I'm using two smaller ones, so I'm still going to have that in the back of my mind as a photo mat or a layer that's going behind my photos. And so again I would probably choose one of these prints because these are busy. All three of those are too busy. Your photos would get lost. The polka dot might work, especially if you had a 4 by 6 photo where you weren't going to see very much of it, like this around there. That would work well. I was going to say it might not so much if you had photos like this and you have a big piece, but it might work. That's not too bad. But I still think these are the better choices. So I think this one is the one I'm going to choose for my 4 by 6. And I'll do my 2 by 3 in the yellow, and that just lays my circles. So the only thing I haven't chose my 10.5 by 6.5 and 3.5. I think I want this, my 6.5. That's something it's busier, but because it's a consistent pattern, it's not like to this where it's real jarring on the eye. So I think this would be great as the 6.5 or the 6" by 10.5. And I think I want this as the 3.5 to butt up against it. And then I already said this is going to be the 1.5. Okay, so I think I've chosen them all. I'm going to cut them out, put them on here, and see if I chose well. I have everything cut up. I did do just as I said. I capped the tone-on tones, the very unbusy papers for my smaller ones, my stripe for my long narrow strip, and I ended up getting my large scalloped border punch and punched that. Seem to be using that a lot on the layouts here lately, but I enjoy that. And then these two bigger pieces, I kept the one that's not as busy for the large piece, and then the hearts that I could pull in all of the colors to the layout on this. And when I set it down up here, I'm instantly thinking just doing a whole blocking on the page, and because of this, it can go right there in the middle to cover up that gap. And that would be a very classic, clean layout foundation just to get you going. Last time I did a few things trying to think a little bit outside of the box. You could go this way, put something and make like an L-shaped pattern as well. I think that's really nice, and then just you can put that here. Actually, I really kind of like that. Do I want to change my mind? Alright, so I just took some dark blue embroidery floss, all 6 strands, stitched it, used some washi tape on the back. So now I'm ready to start putting this photo on. And I did decide to do the block. When I found the stencil to do the stitching, that really just set it in that I wanted it done with a large block back here. So I think I'm going to pop dot this up, because everything was looking kind of flat, and since my photos are odd shaped and small, I really don't have, I don't know, didn't really think it was probably as good of an idea to pop those up. I'm really not sure how far I want that up, but we'll go somewhere there. And I'm not sure if I want this up on top or if I wanted to tuck it behind. So I'm not going to push that down just yet. And I got to wondering if this little girl, if I could just pop dot her up over that face and it not look too odd, so that I could use her, because I really don't care anything about if she's in the picture or not. And I haven't decided if I want to pull it up over the mats where both of them hang off. Normally I would go ahead and mat those with something if I was going to do that. So that's where I'm at right now, is just playing. I decided to go ahead and fast forward through the rest of this and narrate. This layout I spent about an hour on, maybe a few minutes over, and most of it was right here towards the end, just playing with these embellishments and trying to decide exactly how I wanted to build that up. The thing that was really causing me the most problems was that photo that had the angle cut out of it. So anything that I put up behind there, I had like this trapped space or this gap, and it just was not working. So I played quite a bit getting it to the point that I was happy with it. I do decide to go ahead and pull the photos into that green matting so that there's green showing all the way around. So I was putting the pink circle up behind the photos, and my problem with that was it was covering up all of the green, so I didn't have any green showing on that other side, and I felt like it was a little off balance, and it didn't look right. It was causing the eye to really, go over there and wonder what was going on, that something wasn't right, but just not knowing for sure what it was when you're looking at it. So I end up pulling it behind the green mat, and I'm much happier with that. You're able to see more of the green. I went ahead and pulled that little yellow 2x3 up behind the photos, and that's going to help fill in that space behind the photos and bring that yellow. So I'm also starting to look at the embellishment clusters and bringing those colors around. So I needed that yellow up in there, and I pulled that yellow camera to the left and the yellow clothespin to the bottom. So I'm already, while I'm trying to finish that little section around the photos, I'm already starting to think about my embellishments and how they're going to go, and repeating that color. So I'm pretty happy with everything, so I'm ready to start adhering it down. I go ahead and pop dot up this little dog, and it's just because this layout, I was also having trouble it looking kind of flat. There wasn't a lot of textures and things going on. So the stitching with the embroidery floss helped a lot. I took the same floss, put it through this tag up here, so that's helping. And then I'm going to add some thread at the end, so I'll tell you more about that towards the end, but that's something that Missy Whidden does. And I have problems because I hear my mother in my head telling me, to trip or snip your threads, and because she's a seamstress, and that was her pet peeve, was having strings hanging out. So I always laugh when I watch Missy put thread and stuff on her layout, because I can hear my mother just shuddering, and so it's something that I have not gotten into. But this layout definitely benefited from it, and it had something to do with the theme, so I really did enjoy that last little finishing touch, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So that camera, I don't think it's supposed to go up like this. I think it's supposed to go horizontal, but I'm just using it for the color and just to get some layers in there, as well as that planted pot. That has nothing to do with the layout either, but I need some pink over there. I need some filler, and so it works. And the dog, well, I'm not sure what that has to do with sewing, but dogs are cute. They can go on anything. So, okay, this bottom here, it gave me a little bit of problem too. When I got down to it, I knew I needed some stuff down there, and I just kept kind of going, and I put this little girl down there because I really wanted to get her on the layout. And I used my foam tape, and then I go back several times and try to put stuff up underneath it, and bent her all up. And I'm going to learn sometime not to adhere so quickly on some things, and to adhere quicker on other things, and just to let it go and to do it. So here's my first attempt. I pull it up, and it had these little short stickers that are kind of like washi tape, and I felt like it could use some more of the dark blue down there and more color to really finish out that cluster. So I added that one in, and then I'm still looking. I found this little strip that was pink flowers, and I thought it was cute, so I'm pulling that little girl up again to tuck that under there. And there were so many cute little stickers here with words, and I tried to fit a few in, but I end up really only getting those two. This one over here that says "The struggle is real," and the one at the top says "Getting stuff done." And I had this one that said "Busy, busy, busy," and I really wanted to fit it in, and I tried several different times to put it in different places, but it was just a little bit too much, and there really wasn't a place for it. But I tried, but I really just need to let it go and stop trying to put stickers on the page. One other thing I thought about doing was taking that embroidery floss and doing a big X, or maybe a couple, up either on the pink circle or somewhere on that mat. And I think it could be cute, but you'd have to be really careful where you place it, and I just didn't spend the time to sit and study it to see where a good place would be. But I think adding just another stitch up there, and maybe even one at the bottom cluster, might have worked and added a little bit more texture and stuff. So here's my thread where I'm channeling my inner Missy, which really don't have any. She is so talented, but yeah, just not able to do what she does. But on this layout, I think it really worked. It's really cute and adds that final little touch and pop of color there, kind of like an enamel dot or mist. But really, those wouldn't work on this layout because it's such a busy pattern. I didn't really feel like they would show up. But that's pretty much it. I'm going to put the date and the place, and then I'm going to actually type out my journaling. It's going to show in the still shots. I actually add a couple of extra pieces of a branding strip behind the photos, and you'll see those here in the still shots. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying video a day, and I will be back tomorrow with another one. So have a great day, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.